So when you start to trust that you're aligned in these actions and that they're enough, that these spiritually aligned actions are enough, you can just stop pushing and you can just start receiving.
Gabby Bernstein, a role model for spiritual seekers.
Welcome back, my friends. Welcome to Dear Gabby. For today's show, I want to talk about something really, really core to my spiritual practice, something that has been a method that I applied in my practice years ago. And it's such a huge method, I even wrote about it in my book, Super ATTRACTOR. And it's something that I really don't do any big action without. This is a method I call the spiritually aligned action method. And it's this practice that requires inspiration, faith, and some kind of spiritual connection, a spiritual connection of your own understanding. When we merge our desire with our faith, we can start to take action from a place of peace and calm and centeredness rather than that controlling place that we often take an action from. And it's that presence of peace that allows the universe to really support us when we take action. And I think if anyone out there is someone who's a controller like myself, and you know those moments where you're taking action from a place that's like really needy or really controlling or really just aggressive, it just never feels supported. It always will land flat. I literally did that today. I literally was frustrated by something and took a huge action. And while I was justified in it, it kind of caused a lot of bull. And so, we can just get into these situations where we put ourselves in these positions of taking action and really wasting a lot of time, energy, and creating a lot of chaos in our life. But the other thing that I really think is so valuable here is that many of us out there want to be manifestors. You want to manifest a life beyond your wildest dreams. And a lot of times that's why we come to this show. We come to learn these techniques and tools for manifesting. And manifesting isn't about just sitting around and waiting for something to happen to us. Manifesting is about taking an action, but taking an action that is aligned with a spiritual connection, taking an action that's aligned with faith and courage and spiritual connection. And when you follow my steps in this episode, the spiritually aligned action method, you can really trust that an energy beyond your own is working on your behalf and that everything can just really work out for you, even if you don't know exactly how or when, because you can trust that your action was taken from a place of spiritual alignment. Big, big message for you today. I'm going to give you an example that happened for me in my own life. It's a story I love to tell. And it's such a cool manifesting story, but it's also a story of what it means to take spiritually aligned action in your life and the benefits that can happen and how to do it. Back in 2008, I had begun my work as a life coach and a motivational speaker, and I'd noticed this really big growing interest in spirituality among young women and just young people in general, but especially women. And I was working on my first book, and I was just super proud to kind of be at the forefront of this zeitgeist of new seekers. And I started to feel this kind of heightened level of responsibility to share my message and to really get it out to more people. And if you don't know this, I used to have a career, my first career from 21 to 25, I owned a PR company and I was a publicist for nightclubs. But I was really good at PR, and it was like a self-taught skill. I didn't have any background in it. I just taught myself how to do PR and I was good at it. And so I dipped back into my PR skills and into my Rolodex. Yes, no joke, Rolodex. I dipped back into my Rolodex and I think about a pitch I want to pitch to the New York Times. And I also have this idea that it's the New York Times because it's a reflection of something I saw as driftwood. I noticed in my life that some friends of mine that were all food bloggers really had this great experience where they were all featured in the New York Times in this Sunday Styles feature cover story. And it blew up their careers. And I remember taking the masthead off of that article and putting it on my vision board and saying, holy I want that. That's the thing that's going to really help me get this message out to the world. And so I wanted to pitch a story to the New York Times. And so I dipped into my Rolodex and I found the one contact I had, a guy named Alan Salkin. I'd met him at a dinner party and I knew he wrote for the Sunday Style section. So I wrote this pitch and I put a lot of faith and a lot of love and a lot of energy into it. And the pitch was really simple. It's all the girls that used to want to be like Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, now want to be like Wayne Dyer, and into spirituality and really opening their hearts to being spiritual seekers. And so I call up Alan Salkin, and he picks up the phone. Hello. And I say, hey, Alan, it's Gabby Bernstein. We met at this dinner a while back, and I've got a pitch for you. He's like, tell it to me now. I come out with it, and I say, it's all the girls that used to want to be Carrie Bradshaw now want to be Wayne Dyer. And he's like, interesting. I'll get back to you. And months and months and months go by, and he's not getting back to me. And I just kind of like gently check in and just sort of like test what's going on. And, after a lot of months of little or no response, I choose to really trust in the power of my intentions and my faith. And instead of obsessing or forcing the outcome and beating down his door or just annoying him with emails and phone calls, I really just surrendered to the universe and just let my energy be relaxed and just allowed things to unfold naturally. Cue to the fall of 2009, Alan calls me, and it's out of the blue, and he says, the New York Times has picked up your story. I'm going to be in your apartment next week. We're going to shoot your coaching session, and I'm going to do a whole article on this. Hangs up the phone. Boom. My manifestation has become my reality. A week later, Alan shows up to my studio apartment, and it's this group coaching session, and he's just, watching the session. And then after the session, everybody leaves, and I'm with Alan in my apartment alone, and he's going to do this interview. And he's asking me a bunch of questions. And when the interview's over, he starts looking around my space, and he sees this beautiful vision board. And I explained to him how my vision board has my career and my love and my physical health. And he looks at this masthead of the New York Times and he goes, what's this? And I said, oh, Alan, that's from an article that I read a few years ago. And it was this piece on how these food bloggers were making their movement, and it really put them on the map. And I pulled that out of that article, and I knew I wanted that exact type of placement. And he looks at me and he's totally shocked. And he says, I wrote that article. Boom. Spiritually aligned action in full effect. The synchronicity of Alan writing that article and then being the author of my article in this beautiful piece. The synchronicity is just a great, powerful example of what happens when you surrender to the law of manifestation and just start to co-create your reality with the universe. And this story is such a great example of how we can effortlessly co-create with the universe when we merge our actions with our inspiration, with our faith, and take spiritually aligned action. And so without even realizing it at the time, I'd applied this specific method into my own life, and that vision became my reality. And so today I refer to it as the spiritually aligned action method. And when you apply this method to anything in your life, anything that you desire, you can really just trust that you're co-creating with the universe rather than forcing a vision to become your reality. So here's the method. I'm going to break it down for you, and I'm going to give you the references of how it worked in the story that I shared as well, so you can just see the example in real time, see it right in front of you. Just take a moment to look at all the ways in which your actions are backed with control and fear and lacking faith. And I want you to start paying regular attention in your life to how you're controlling these requests to the universe and how that controlling energy might be blocking you from receiving what's of the highest good. And once you're much more clear about the ways that you're trying to control situations, it becomes time now then for you to redirect your energy and apply that energy to a spiritually aligned action method. So that's what we want to do to begin. Really get that honest inventory going. Next, I'm going to have you choose one area of your life that you've been controlling and start to apply the spiritually aligned action method to it. So that's how you prepare to take spiritually aligned action, by really taking that inventory and just noticing the ways that you're blocking, and then choosing an area of your life where you've been controlling and just begin to make that the target. Make that one area what you want to focus on, and that area of your life that you're going to start to really apply this spiritually aligned action method. And here's the method, everybody. Drum roll, please, everyone. Here we go. The first step in the spiritually aligned action method is to tap into the inspiration behind your desire and to see how that inspiration serves you and the world. So I want you to take out your journal, and I want you to make a list of all the ways that this desire that you have, this action that you want to take, how it lights you up, and how it also brings a service to others. Because remember, there is service in your joy. And as long as it doesn't come at somebody else's expense, you taking action on this dream is of service when it brings you joy. But I also want you to tap into all the ways that it inspires you and that it makes you feel good. And when you think about taking this action, what does that bring forth within you? And how is it joyful? And how is it bringing more joy and inspiration to the world? And so let me give you an example in the Alan story of what that meant to me in step one, tapping into the inspiration behind it. When I thought, I want to pitch the New York Times and get this piece in the New York Times, the desire was backed with joy, service, and love, because it was backed with this commitment to serving others and waking people up to their spiritual potential. It was backed with joy for myself because it would be such a great catalyst for my career, and I wanted nothing more than to continue to grow. And it was going to be really joyful for me to witness my manifestation come into form. And so I backed up that desire with inspiration, joy, service, and love. The second step is to believe that the universe will deliver. Bust out your journal, and I want you to write clearly what you desire, and then surrender it by adding, it's this or something better. So you can write, I want that, for me it was, I want that story in the New York Times, but it's this or something better. And then I want you to spend some time every day in meditation and align your energy back in with that service and that love that we talked about in the first step. Feel into it. Feel yourself connected to the vision of what you desire. I want you to feel into the feelings of inspiration, the service behind the desire, and just hold that vision of yourself fulfilling your desire and all that positive energy that it brings you and brings the world. And you can even visualize and see people who are elevated in your presence, people who are elevated by the action that you're taking. And just let that belief begin to set in. Meditating on the joy and the service and the inspiration behind your desire starts to help you release the blocks that hold you back from really owning it and accepting it. And then the third step is to take action from a place of spiritual alignment. So as soon as you feel the first two steps in effect, then you're going to really feel that sense of readiness. And that was for me. So when I meditated and I leaned into that joy and that inspiration of this desire, I knew I was ready to pick up the phone and call Alan. And I didn't call him from a place of neediness or lack or control. I called him from a place of grace, faith, inspiration. I was excited to pick up the phone. And so as soon as you feel those first two steps in action, the belief and the inspiration and the faith, then you know you're ready to take that spiritually aligned action, and you're going to feel relaxed and you'll feel faithful and confident. And then there's also a sure sign that it's time to take the action, and that's when you no longer feel attached to the outcome. Boom, take that one in. Make sure that you don't take the action unless you're not attached to the outcome. Detachment implies faith. So feeling the faith behind your desire and just confidently making that move is really, really powerful. So picking up that phone to call that person that you want to ask out on a date, or making that move to send out an email about a job that you want, all of the things that we sometimes put so much fear behind, doing them from that place of spiritual alignment. So when we have that sense of detachment, when we feel relaxed, faithful, inspired, we know it's time to take action. And then the fourth step, this is the step that everybody balks at, but it's the most important step in the process. Be patient. Patience implies that you know what you desire is on the way. It implies that it's this or something better. It's that you're relaxed and you've released the outcome, you've released control, and you're just trusting that this is something that is possible. When you're patient, you let the universe do for you what you cannot do for yourself. You clear space for the energy of the universe to support you in ways that you couldn't even have imagined. And practicing patience is a practice of allowing. So when you practice patience, you can actually use this prayer. I lean into the inspiration of my desires, and I know it's enough to lead me toward what is of the highest good. I surrender this desire to the universe, and I know I'm being guided. Your patience will be valuable when you're waiting on others to support your desires, because sometimes people can't catch up as fast as you have, right? Remember, it took Alan a while to get back to me, but I stayed patient. Patience creates space for the universe to work through people. When you're no longer strangling people energetically, you can just let them off the hook and you can give them the space to sort of figure out what to do and how to make that move. And patient people give off an energy of expansion, peace, and grace, and a vibrational alignment, a frequency. Because remember, this is after you've taken the action. You've already taken the action and you're waiting for the result. So that's where patience comes in. Patience is a gift that you are trusting in the co-creation of your desire. And I really admire the work and the timing of the universe always. So if you let go and allow, you'll be in awe of what transpires. So when you practice these methods, my friends, when you show up in this way, you're not going to feel the need to control. You're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel more connected. You're going to feel inspired to take action. It's so much more fun. It's so much easier. I'm just smiling thinking about it. And my hope is that this method's going to empower you and support you. And most importantly, just give you a sense of peace. So when you start to trust that you're aligned in these actions and they're enough, that these spiritually aligned actions are enough, you can just stop pushing and you can just start receiving. This feels so much better, guys. It just feels so much better. And it's an amazing way to live. It really is. And if you're someone who's been trying to control life, I strongly recommend that you make this method your highest priority. You may want to just read it in Super Attractor over and over and over again, just as a way of coming back to this practice, coming back to this practice. When you take spiritually aligned action, your desires can be really supported in ways that you really couldn't have ever imagined. And you can trust that following this method will speed up your attracting. And it's going to give you a great sense of tranquility and a lot of support from the universe and support from the world, because you're no longer strangling other people to make something happen. They can relax and help you. And with the universe by your side, clearing the way for miracles far beyond anything that you could make happen, anything's possible. So much more is possible. So if you've got a big dream right now, you've got something that you want to create, take spiritually aligned action. Trust me, you'll feel so much joy and grace and inspiration in this process, and miracles will unfold. If this practice is really moving to you and you want to take it further and you want to practice it with my written word, go grab a copy of Super Attractor and dive deep into that book. Because the whole book is about getting in alignment with spirituality and your spiritual connection and your super attractor power, so that the actions that you take in life no longer feel like they're blocked, but they feel inspired and faithful. You can feel like you have invisible angel wings guiding you every step of the way. Enjoy this process, my friends. Enjoy this process. Use it. Come back to it. Listen to this episode over and over again as a way to stay connected. And really trust me when I say this. When you take spiritually aligned action, you can know that the universe has your back. If you like this video and you want to get more Gabby, check out the next one right over here.